Hey everybody, welcome in Monday afternoon edition Guerilla Sports Off Ice. I'm Jesse Montano, and Megan got a lot less good looking.
Jeez.
We
Well, yeah, but
yeah. We got Evan Rawal from the Denver Gazette here filling in today. Going to be a really fun show. As always, want to start by reminding you guys about our great friends over at RefiJet. Did you know that you could refinance your auto loan? Well, with RefiJet, you could save around $150 every single month, all just a soft credit pull and zero hassle. Lower payments, flexible terms, maybe even some cash back in your pocket from your car's equity. Start today at RefiJet.com, the faster, easier way to refinance. Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hey everybody, welcome in Guerilla Sports Off Ice. Jesse Montana, joined today by the Denver Gazette's Evan Rawal. Evan, thanks for joining us, man. It's always a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Avs practice this morning, and really a lot of what we're going to talk about on today's show was inspired by a tweet that you sent, Evan. The Avs are off to a 5-0-1 start. They look great. I mean, they just dominated the Boston Bruins for 60 minutes a couple nights ago. And really, even the one game that they lost, not only did they pick up points, you could probably argue they were the better team.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I don't want to say they don't seem satisfied, but the intensity is just really ramped up. And I just want to get into all of that. And I think it's been a really fun start to the season. But I guess just how are you doing? How's the start of the season treating you? You were at Broncos yesterday. That was wild.
Yeah, it's I don't think I'm built for football, covering football. Like the games are just, it's a whole day. I was there from 10 to like 9. It was just ridiculous. And then 80% of the game was terrible. So, but yeah, I'm good. I'm enjoying this start. It's nice because the one thing I was saying is that last year, like we were in Vegas for opening night, and it just felt like right away it was just like, oh God, here we go.
Yep.
Like we're gonna do this right away, and just from start to finish, like it was just chaos. There was no downtime in the year at all because they just kept making trades. Like the goaltending was bad. Whereas this year, I feel like they're off to such a great start. It's just going to kind of be like a boring year, which maybe they need after all the chaos of last year. So, yeah, they look legit. They look locked in.
Locked in. No, I'm with you. And it was something that, I think we all kind of started keying in on right at the beginning of camp of quiet-ish summer. And yeah, it feels like it's kind of bled into a quiet start to the season, which I think can be a good thing. It's like a good thing. I think there's times where it's good for your organization to be making headlines and, be kind of the talk of the town. But I don't think the Avs are really in that space right now where they need that.
No, I think they want a year like, and I hate comparing everything to that Stanley Cup year, but they want a year like that where they get off to a start, they play great, and then they can kind of chill, like at the end of the year, like maybe rest some guys because they haven't been able to do that since the Cup year. It's been like they've been playing catch up pretty much every year.
Well, I went on Daily Faceoff last week, and one of the things that I mentioned was the year before the Cup year. It was a COVID shortened year, but they kind of sell out at the end of the season to win the President's Trophy. And I remember guys talking about that at the start of camp next year. No one explicitly came out and said like, oh, we shouldn't have done that. But I remember there were multiple guys, and I think Jared even said like, we probably emptied the tank a little bit too much trying to jockey for that position. So we just want to get into a good spot and be able to take care of ourselves heading. So not just comparing it to the 22 season, but I also think there's some comparisons out there of why it's maybe important to do that. You don't need to end up winning the division, winning the President's Trophy, but put yourself in a situation where you're not having to fight tooth and nail down the stretch.
Well, and I mean, it could lead to you winning the division, which like Winnipeg, what did they win? 15 of their first 16 games last year, and then they just cruised to the division. And I think that's the goal if you're the Avs or Dallas, like avoid the other team in the first round. You don't want to have to do this in the first round where you guys are emptying the tank against the other probably best team in the division in round one, because then it caught up to Dallas eventually down the line in the playoffs, and you don't want to do that. You want to. It's overlooked in the playoffs how sometimes just an easy path can help you there, and just having one easy series can get you to the finals.
Well, and can you not make that argument for what we've seen out of the Dallas Stars 3 years in a row where they look kind of like this juggernaut until they get to the Western Conference Final and they've already played 14 games and they just kind of like they end up looking a little bit like a shell of who they were in the previous rounds. And I just feel like it's because they're so worn down. So to your point, and I think that's something else, as dominant as the Avs were in 22, they had a good path. Like they had it wasn't a total cakewalk, but like they made it look that way and they had a fortuitous path to the final.
Yeah, it matters the positioning heading into the playoffs, because facing a Dallas in the first round over facing like, Minnesota, like a wild card team,
Right.
It's a big difference. So, and I think that's what they're working for. We haven't, it's too early to talk about that stuff to these guys right now, but I think that's a goal of theirs, I would have to imagine.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into why it feels different, aside from it just being a little bit more quiet. When we talked to Nate a couple nights ago after the Boston game, he said, we have elite players and they're doing elite things right now. Jared kind of echoed that sentiment of, yeah, we're playing really well top to bottom, but when your top guys are driving the bus the way they are, obviously you get Gabe Landeskog back while he picks up his first goal a couple nights ago, but while he maybe hasn't produced at the super high clip, Brock Nelson, I think, has been really good to start this year. Victor Olofsson has exceeded kind of what I was expecting after seeing there's just point being, there's a lot of areas of this lineup where you look to, it's like, yeah, that's better than it was a year ago. That's better than it was a year ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, my boy Kobe was on the second line to start last year, so it is a lot better. And I think Val, I thought Val the first 2 games was really not looking like. I think he's been the best player on that line. And it kind of feels like a matter of time until he ends up on that top power play unit. But yeah, they're just, when your top line is that good and you're getting the occasional goal from these other lines, that third line I think has been really solid. Like Ross, even he's got 1 point, I think, but I think he's played really well.
Yeah, he has.
Jack's been fine. Like you said, Victor, he's been a good fit here and he's been responsible and he's shooting the puck, which is what they want. So
he's versatile too. I thought he's fit in pretty well with that third line, but then when they've, whether it's he's caught out there for a long shift or Jared just tries to shake things up, he blends with those, with the top 6 guys and replaced Arturi Lehkonen on the top power play unit for portions of the last game.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to be there again tomorrow based off practice. But the other thing is that he's played a lot with Jack Eichel in his career. And you've noticed if the Avs have killed penalties and Arturi's out there for a penalty kill, it's he who's out there with Nate and Netchus on afterwards. It's not like Landy, who I would have expected. It's Olofsson, because they're like, okay, well, he's a skilled guy. He's played with skilled players before. And I talked to him about it, and he's like, yeah, Nate's different than Jack. But all these guys are similar. Or if you get open, they're going to find you.
Yeah.
So eventually injuries will hit, and he'll probably get a look at there. But yeah, they're just deep right now, and they're playing really well. And it really all comes down to, in my opinion, just how structured defensively they are at the moment. They're just not giving teams a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, and the 1 point that I think Ross Colton has comes off that goal from that really nice play. That was a really nice, really high skill play from Olofsson too. So he can get open and be the beneficiary of that, but he's also shown small sample sizes. And I don't want to get carried away, but shown the ability that he can make plays and be someone who can, I'm not going to say drive a line, but drive a scoring opportunity. You mentioned Jack Drury. I've been impressed with the way he's looked in that role. Truthfully, Evan, heading into this season, I was kind of expecting he'll start there, but they'll eventually want to, move that and get someone through 6 games, and it's 6 games. I think he's looked fine. He's looked pretty good.
Yeah, he's looked fine. I still think that if they want to win a cup, they're going to go out and find another center, because they keep saying he's an elite 4th line center, which is such a strange term to me, because then it's well, if he's an elite 4th line center, then he's probably a good 3rd line center.
Right. But
I think they just, when Logan gets back, they really want that line back together, because it's like a safety blanket for Jared. So, but and we talked about this, when I came on the summer, they can have him be the 3rd line center for most of the year if they need to. They're good enough to handle that, and he's done just fine there. And He's made some nice plays offensively. He's not a big shooter, but he has a decent playmaking touch that, we don't see all the time. So he's had a good start. And yeah, the top three lines, they talked all this time about like, oh, we're going to try things out. It's been set since pretty much the start of camp. And it kind of looks like it. They've come out and played like they've got a lot of chemistry with these lines.
Yeah. We throw this comment up here from FU 2006. Is there a rift or issues between Colton and Bednar? I don't, and let me know if you feel differently, have heard differently. I don't think that there's an issue between those two. I don't think Ross has had a defined role in 2 years that he's been here. I think it's led to a little bit of unrest on his part, but I don't think he doesn't like being here. I don't think it's not that he doesn't like people or anything like that. It's just he's been in an odd spot.
Yeah, and I thought Jared, like when we got to training camp, he had an interesting comment where he said, because I think it was Megan who asked about Ross, and Jared said something like, well, Ross has some thoughts on how last year went, and I have some thoughts on it. And it's like, okay, well, you obviously probably not on the same page. So I don't know.
Those aren't the same thoughts.
I don't know if it's a rift, but it is strange where, because Brindley was on the power play the other day. Ross was not. Ross does not have really a role on this team. He's not killing penalties. He's not playing on the power play. He's just like a totally even strength guy. So it just comes out to, just in the back of my head, and this is just me thinking, like, if they do make a move down the line, like, is he the guy that maybe goes out to bring someone back in? Because he doesn't make a ton of money. Like a lot of teams would probably be interested in him. So it's just interesting because I think he's had a good start to the year, but you're right. He doesn't really have a defined role on this team right now.
And I feel like he never had. What I'm so interested about with Ross Colton this season is I feel like for the first time they are set up for him to, hey, this is who you are. This is the guy we want you to be. But to your point, he's not on any of the special teams. And it's not that third line isn't playing, but they're bottom 6 minutes. So I'm interested to see how this year ends up shaking out beyond the 6 games, whether it's what you were just talking about of, is he the guy that maybe ends up getting moved, or how do they eventually carve out a role for this guy, because he doesn't have one. He never has.
Yeah. And also then you have Brindley coming in and looking really good. So it's just, it just adds an extra layer to it where he's playing well. He's a good player, but what's the path forward here, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Right. Yeah. And how effective,
because I think he's only playing like 10, 11 minutes a night, which is not a lot. And I imagine, if a guy like him who's, I think he had a career year his first year here, and he was scoring goals at a high pace at the start of last year. Like, he probably thinks he can play a little bit more than that. And he's probably not wrong.
He's probably not wrong. And one of the reasons why I like him with Olofsson is, we sat down with Ross during training camp, and he's always a great interview. Like, he's always great to chat with. But he didn't come right out and like say it explicitly, but he definitely like hinted towards like, yeah, I was playing with Nate and Mikko and I was piling up points. He's like, and I'm not expecting to play with, those guys every night, but like definitely kind of like danced around. Like, it would be nice to get some more offensive upside guys. And so I like him playing with Olofsson. I would be interested if they were to go out and bring in a true 3C and, upgrade on Jack. Like, I don't know. Could that become a line that's more exciting, more dangerous? But I don't know. It's really interesting. Then I wanted to talk about Gavin Brindley and Zakhar Bardakov, who I thought Jared's response on how Bardakov's night went the other night was great. He's like, well, he gave up a goal on his first shift, so not great, but then he got better. I've been, honestly, man, very, I guess, pleasantly surprised is the way you would say it. I've been impressed with Gavin Brindley. I wasn't expecting him to be this effective right to start the season. Your thoughts on him, and then from the little bit that we've seen from Bardakov.
So Brindley, I think, has been great. And you like today in practice, it was so obvious that like he's on the fourth line right now, but he has so much more skill than all these other guys. Like, it's just kind of like, okay, well, you kind of wonder when Logan comes back, like, is he just going to be the unfortunate guy who he's just not playing a lot, and it's maybe not best for his development to play 7 minutes a
waiver
night.
exempt too.
But he's been awesome, and I think it's been very encouraging because he didn't have a great first year as a pro, and he's come here and he's done everything, and he seems to fit the way the Avs want to play, and he's not a big guy and he knows it, but he makes an impact when he's on the ice. So he's been great, and you have to feel optimistic about his future because maybe 10 months ago you didn't feel that way. With Bardakov, I did think he was pretty bad the other night. He was way out of position on that goal. He just kind of wandered over there and left his guy alone. But it's also a tough spot when you haven't played in 2 weeks and you're thrown into your first game. So you kind of feel for him there. So he's going to get a run here with Kiviranta out for a while. And Jared likes him. Jared likes him a lot. I think he loves the idea of it. And I think I talked about it this summer, the idea of a big fourth line center. So it's just a matter of you got to give him time to get used to North America and get used to this, and he's going to have a run. And when the top six is as steady as it is here, then they have the leeway to give him some time to grow. Yeah.
So, and I know you said that you didn't watch a ton of Bardakov in the KHL, but you are the in-house.
I watched a little bit, but yeah,
KHL expert. What's so interesting and intriguing to me about a guy like Bardakov is this just doesn't feel. There you go. Evan means we're about to get a full KHL breakdown. He felt to me like not the prototypical guy that you see come really kind of rise to the top of the ranks in the KHL and then make the switch over. I feel like those are typically more high skill guys that play at the top of their lineup in the KHL, pile up points. Not that Bardakov wasn't, effective or productive in the KHL, but he really did kind of come from more of a grind it out, bottom six, heavy on the forecheck, finish your hit type of role. And I just feel like that's rare to see that guy come over, and it's really kind of a perfect fit for what the Avs need.
Yeah, I mean, up until last year, he was only playing like 12 to 14 minutes a night. And last year kind of jumped up a fair bit where he talked about it himself, like his offense kind of picked up and his all-around game did last year. But it is interesting because the Avs are not asking him to really do anything differently than what he did in the KHL, which is it's an easy transition to make. Whereas, we talked about with Kovalenko, like he was the guy and now he came here and he wasn't the guy. Like that's an adjustment that not everyone can make. So, yeah. And I mean, they didn't use him on PK the other day, and I'm not sure they're going to moving forward, but he has that ability if they want to. And I think they see him as somebody who can do this and maybe even be a little bit more down the line.
Yeah. Well, and again, if he can start to improve and become a really viable option for you night in, night out, like you're gonna end up with a good problem to have once O'Connor gets back, once Kibby comes back, who was leaving the arena in a brace the other night and limping pretty hard.
Look what you did.
Well, so did you see what was sent to me?
Yeah, I did.
I was wearing it that night when he got hurt. And so is that my fault?
Yeah,
it might be.
Should have just stayed on the hate train.
yeah. But yeah, if you can suddenly, if you've got, a guy like Jack Drury that you're saying, hey, can we upgrade him and put him back, back on this fourth line? Again, good problems to have. Like, oh no, we've got too many centers. We don't have to spend a ton of time on the top six because everyone kind of knows, who and what they are. But I think the second line, despite being a little bit snake bit, haven't really gotten a ton to go up until that Boston game. I think they've done some good things. And that top line's on another level right now.
Yeah. I mean, Netchus did this last year where we started hot in Carolina and he's doing it again here. And then, I mean, Arturi is just the guy who holds everything together there. It takes a lot to play with Nate, not just like on the ice, but you have to be able to take like his intensity off the ice. And we've seen in practice, like Nate is tough on Arturi, and he just has the personality where it just seems like it's just like, well, whatever.
Yeah,
nothing bothers him.
Yeah.
And then on the ice, they have incredible chemistry. Yeah. Like he just does all these one touches in the neutral zone, right to Nate, where it's just catches him stride. That's all Nate needs. And he's the perfect glue guy, I think.
So I didn't ask Jared the question right a couple nights ago after the game, because I went in and I asked Nate about, I told him, I said, we ask you a lot about playing with Marty, but there's something about Nate and and Arturi that just works.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked Nate about that, and he gave an all right answer, but then he ended it with like, oh, but he works well with anybody. And so I ended up kind of framing my question that way to Jared, and he was like, I've answered this a bunch of times. But is it just one of those things where, like you said, it's hard to play with a guy like Nate? And is it, in your opinion, just that Arturi does so many of those little things well that when you play with a player as elite as Nate, if you're doing those little things, Nate's always going to be in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get to the right spot, get the puck to the right spot, he's usually going to. Is it that simple that just the meat and potatoes way that Arturi Lehkonen plays just is perfect for a guy like Nate who doesn't mess up a lot?
Yeah, and Nate, and that's one thing Jared said, and anyone who watches Arturi can see he's like a super intelligent player. Like he knows exactly where to be, and I think Nate appreciates him. Like he appreciates everything he does, and that line, which is kind of why I was like, okay, well, if they want to move Nichushkin down, I think they could, because Nate is always like, he's never like in front of the net. He's always moving around. So you need somebody that's going to go to the net, and Arturi will do that. But like for years, Landy and Mikko would go to the net. So it just made it a nightmare for other teams to deal with. So just Arturi does a lot of what Landy does. He's just not as big. So it's worked perfectly since he's been here. And I'm actually fascinated because everyone's talking about Kale's up next year. So is Arturi.
Oh,
how much is he going to get paid?
Yeah.
And it's also,
it's
a weird thing where it's like, well, he's going to be in his 30s and he's a smaller guy. Like eventually that takes its toll on people. So I'm fascinated to see how that plays out, because I think you'd have to pry Arturi from Jared's cold, dead hands to get him out of the lineup.
All right, we got a super chat here. Got the money lights going. Have you seen Barty and Val have any locker room interaction? I'm always curious if it boosts morale for a guy like Val to have a big Russian there. Well, you've got not only Bartikov, but you also have Solovyov, who I want to talk about here in a minute. And they all kind of sit right next to each other, at least down at ball.
And Markiev.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still down here. But no, we were all laughing. I don't know if you saw. Mark was in there talking to Val, and Solovyov came in and heard the Russian speaking and he's like, what? Oh my gosh. So I haven't seen a ton of like one-on-one interaction between those two, but
no, because Bartikov's always like the last guy off the ice. So when he gets in the locker room, nobody's in the locker room.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say about Val is like he's been a lot more talkative in the locker room this year. Like you can tell that he's more comfortable in his skin, and he's just more comfortable talking around his teammates. Like doesn't talk to us a whole lot, but it's just a different Val from years past, I would say.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I was going to say about Arturi, you do wonder, and I don't know what his career earnings are, but that feels like a guy that could end up on a better value deal than maybe what he could get, because he understands playing with Nate, the opportunity, the role, all that stuff. But that is a great call, man. I haven't heard anybody talking about. It's not just Kale Arturi as well.
Yeah, there's a couple guys up there, but I mean that's how it goes. It's crazy that he's already been here. I think this is his 4th year in Colorado.
Yeah,
so it's crazy how it goes.
Well, and like he was brought in as this. Oh man, he's going to be an analytics darling depth guy. Like what a great depth pickup for them, and he's become such an important part of what they do. No Sam Girard on the back end for a little while, but that opened the door for Solovyov. Were you surprised at the Solovyov claim?
I'd never heard of him. So yes, in a way that I had never heard of him before, that yes, I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised they picked up a defenseman. I expected that. But it was just, I didn't know anything about the guy, and he only had 15 games of experience.
Yeah, not much
prior to here. So, and they usually do this, like John Ludwig a year ago. Does anyone remember this guy? No, you don't. I don't blame you.
Well, and what I remember finding so odd about Ludwig was he was another one that I thought played fine. He had a couple games where it was like, kind of shaky. They sent him down and then just gone.
Yeah.
Just fully dead. I was a little surprised they didn't keep Keaton. Not because like I had any strong feelings about it, but Jared seemed to like Keaton Middleton a lot last year. And I was just a little surprised that they went with the unknown in Solovyov over Middleton, but so far it looks pretty good.
Well, I thought Keaton was better than maybe I expected last year down the stretch. Like, it seemed like he did get more comfortable. He understands his limitations, but I thought he had a rough preseason where it was a lot of turnovers, where I think maybe the organization was like, okay, maybe he's not here. He can't move the puck at the level we need him to. Yep. And also, they gave him a 2-year extension, I think. So if you put a guy on waivers with 2 years, you're typically not going to get them claimed. So I think they maybe were like, okay, this is a chance to get him through because teams don't want to pick up that extra year. So
interesting.
No,
good call.
Yeah, it was a little surprising, but I mean, they obviously like this guy. And I wasn't there yesterday, but you said Jared sounds like he likes him a lot too.
Likes him a lot. Yeah, no, I mean, it was the first time that, because Corey said the question was, I know you weren't very familiar with Solovyov. Now after a couple of weeks, you're a bit more familiar. What do you think? Jared goes, no, good question. Good question. And then, it was pretty complimentary of what Solovyov has done. And I think for a guy jumping straight in, without a ton of time, didn't get the whole training camp. I've been impressed that first game in Columbus, there were 4 plays in particular that I made a note of like, wow, great pinch. Wow. Wait, great stand up at the red line, whatever, it was 4 separate plays. He had one play, taking a passing lane away right in front of the net at the last second. I think it's been good. And I think Sam Malinski's played really well and given you the runway to say, okay, we can play around with this a bit.
I think it's fascinating. And the one thing Solovyov, I think he's had some movements moving the puck where he struggled a little bit, but he also is good at deferring to Sam, who was much better at that.
Yeah.
Which is probably the right thing to do. But like, I think it's fascinating that Sam was on the left, and then they're like, well, no, we want him on the right. He's much more comfortable there. And I talked to Josh about playing the left today, and I was like, well, did you ever play? He goes, no, 0. Because he was practicing it today. So, but yeah, just the way that they're set up on defense right now, they're pretty comfortable. And, I think Jared did say the other night, we wanted to get Sam back on the right side where he's playing really well. Like, I think last year was a really up and down year for him where he went through a huge lull, kind of like from December to the break, I would say, where nothing was really working for him. So it seems like he's come back and he's more prepared for his second full season in the NHL.
Well, and what was so interesting about last year for Sam was his rookie year, way smaller samples. I think it was about 20 games, very productive, multiple goals, involved offensively. And last year, not only was his play just struggling, really all 200 feet, but like he wasn't producing at all, wasn't getting involved in the play. And so it felt like his rookie year, there was a lot more confidence, playing on instinct, just go out there and have fun. Last year, it looked to me like he was thinking a lot. And it was leading to mistakes, turnovers, caught out of position. And I'm with you. It looks like he's just kind of back to just out there playing. And like the Avs, you need a guy like that. Like you need a guy that's, $1 million, that's effective on your back end. Like you said, it's not just the 22 year, like every cup team needs a couple of those guys up front or on the back end, whatever. That's just like, yep, here's a guy that is playing well above his value.
And also, I've noticed he's killing penalties a little bit this year. So they seem to be expanding his role a little bit, which, you a third pairing defenseman, you kind of need those guys to kill some penalties. So it's good for him. He's making $1 million now. He's a free agent in the summer. He could be earning himself a big payday.
Well, and I've seen some people speculate that he could be a piece that's traded. I was just saying to Megan last week, dude, like if you're going to move him, there's going to need to be a pretty significant return. Like that's a young puck moving right-handed defenseman that is showing well. You can't flip that guy for a side grade on, Jack Drury at 3C. So you can get Jack back with, OC and Parker.
It's, we don't know what the defense is going to look like past this year, but you also wonder, like, Manson's already extended.
Right.
Honestly, Brent Burns looks like just the way he plays, he's so economical with his movements. Like he could probably keep playing. Like if you're Sam, are you like, well, I want to stick around here where I'm just locked in on that third pair? So that's kind of the reason why I could see people saying, yeah, he's a trade piece. But also, if you're the Avs, are you like, well, we could use him as like a rental, like if we think we can go far here.
Right. All right, and that kind of brings us to the goaltending. And there's another one I saw a comment. Scott Wedgwood's up at the end of this year. And right now he is building a little bit of a resume to get some starter money. But again, like I wonder how the Avs start to handle that as you get into the season here. Is that a guy that you try to get locked up?
I'm fascinated by that because they have Ilya Nabokov signed and he's not coming here to play in the AHL. I don't think.
Yeah.
And he's not off to the best start in the KHL. And you have Scott, who everybody loves, like media, the team, the fans, like everyone loves him. And, I know he sees himself as a starter, but he's the perfect backup. And the organization sees him that way. Like if there is a little bit of, hesitancy with Nabokov, like they could delay that, I guess, or try to convince him to come to the AHL.
At least do a year down there or something like that.
Yeah. But then, you get in the point of how much do you want to pay your backup goalie, and do you want to really create that controversy because they still do really love Blackwood. Like I don't think there's a goaltending controversy just because it's not fair to say that when Blackwood hasn't even been able to play a game.
Yep.
But they do love Scott, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out and where now they can. I think Blackwood, they've just been able to be like, okay, take your time, get him back.
I mean, it's and again, God, I hate drawing everything back, but to the 22 team, but the confidence of having, it was Kemper and Francouz, and you saw how valuable that ended up being on a cup run. I do wonder if the Avs are looking at this and just saying, to the question that's on the screen right now, does he get an extension? I don't know if you can get him to take a 1 year. Can we get you extended through one more year? Is that something that's even enticing to Scott Wedgwood at this point? But just to give yourself that, that one more year of stability. And then after that, it's okay. We're going to go with Ilya, but
yeah, it's because he's moved around a lot. Like, does he want to stay in one spot, or does he see this as his chance to maybe, because there's a lot of teams I think with bad goaltending that would probably say, hey, we'll give you a bigger role here if you keep this up. So it's interesting. Like, how much of a commitment do the Avs have to Nabokov that they've made in promises? And can they go back on those if they have made any? So
yeah,
I don't know. They love Scott, and I think they love to keep him around if they could, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But no, contract year for him. And then to the great point you made earlier, Lecky and Kale after next year. Man, like it's so funny because I feel like a year ago, if we were having the same conversation, it would have been pretty much every line or category that we would have just talked about. It would have been followed by, well, and how do they fix it? Right? How do you improve? How do you get it better? But I think a lot of what we just talked through is why this season feels like it's off to such a different start. It's not only that you've got the depth. It's not only that your players are playing better. The chemistry in the locker room seems better. And it feels like you have a lot more of the right pieces, as where last year just felt like you had a bunch of guys.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't talked about Landy really, but like just having him back, it does change a lot. Like the little things, like when we were in LA, like the Manson fight, and he was chirping at the other guy, but also he jumped off the bench, and the first thing he did is he went to the ref and he said, "Give him the extra 2."
Yeah,
he needs the extra. Like you didn't have that last couple of years. So, and I think he's been fine. Like I don't know if you noticed the last game, he was frustrated. Like he kept slamming his stick on the ice. Like I think he expects more from himself. He hasn't quite looked as good as he did in the playoffs to me.
Underlines are still good though.
Yeah, and that's the thing with that line is like they're not producing a ton offensively, but nothing really happens when they're on the ice defensively. So I think you're fine. You can, in the way the top line's playing, you can just let this play out and let them get comfortable. But just having him back in the locker room it moves everyone down to where they can be more comfortable in their own skin because
Mhm.
he's there to kind of be the leader.
Well, and I mean, like, I'm sure you've had similar conversations. Like, I've talked to guys that weren't with the team, up until this summer. I've talked with guys that played with Gabe for, a decade, and to a man, it's very different.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different in the room, having him around, having him be involved. Here's another one I had a great just chat with yesterday, in the locker room. And just like, even for us, like there's a different, is gravitas the right word? Like there's just
aura.
Yeah. There's just a different aura in the room when Gabe's in there, and there's just a presence that he has. Like I don't know, I can't think of the right way to equate it to people. Like and it's a really weird argument, but we had Woody Page, Tom Green, Ron Zappolo were on their show last week. We're talking about Peter Forsberg or Gabe Landeskog. I was tweeting about it after. One, I think those are two hard players to compare because they're very different. And it's also, what are you comparing? But I do just I don't know if anyone means more to the organization other than Joe Sakic than Gabe Landeskog. Like he's just, there's a presence he has in that building where just everybody, like Chris McFarland, looks up to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a crazy take, I thought.
Well, so truthfully, here's the real story behind that take. I got sent the question the night before, like, do you think this is good? And I said, no, they're all going to pick Forsberg immediately. I said, I understand why the question would be posed because I'm around them every day and I see what Gabe Landeskog means to this group. So if that's your question of, who's more important, I think that's a great debate. But if your question is who is better, I said they're all going to pick Peter Forsberg immediately. And that was
rightfully so.
I don't know if you saw the clip. That was what, as Tom was talking through it, Ron Zappolo interrupts him. Can I answer this? And they all, and so I put that out there just trying to present the alternate case because of what I was telling, our production staff the night before. Like, well, if this is the conversation, I think that's a great question. So that was really where that came from.
My argument for the second most important, I would choose Waugh personally.
See,
I think he added, that team was loaded, but they needed, he was the guy that brought in the credibility, the winning, and then he kind of set the standard moving forward.
I wonder, do you think that the way he left as a coach impacted his Mount Rushmore status at all?
I'm over it. It's what's done is done. And the Avs were better off for it.
Yeah, I was just about to say that and God, not to take a side swipe at Matt Duchene, but we talk about that with the Duchene trade too. We're the Avs came out better for it. Fans shouldn't be salty. Patrick Waugh leaving is why the Avs ended up with Jared Bednar, and look how that went. The Matt Duchene trade literally set the table for them to become the team that they did.
And the Mount Rushmore thing is are we talking their playing days or are we talking about otherwise?
Impact. Yeah.
Because if we're talking playing days, Waugh, 2 cups, Conn Smythe, he was the credibility that they needed to go that far. So I don't know. I ignore that stuff. And I've been over that stuff for a long time. It is what it is. His coaching is just different. I don't know.
I'm happy that he got a second chance.
I don't know why he picked that job.
I don't know why he did either, but I always was a little, I did wonder if he would ever get a second chance or if teams were just going to look at the way that it ended and be like, yeah, we don't want to potentially end up in that situation.
I don't see how he makes it through the year because that's just a bad team and they're just weirdly constructed where they're older guys. And
Matthew Schaefer's fun.
He looks great. He looks incredible for an 18-year-old defenseman who just turned 18. He's like McKinnon is up here, where he turned 18 a month before the season started. And the things he's doing is incredible, but the rest of the team is just not it. Yeah. And I'd be surprised if Waugh makes it through the year because the GM didn't hire him. This is a new GM.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna want to pick his guy.
Right? Yeah.
So I don't know.
Every time I hear, cause it's Matthew Darsh, right?
Stan Darsh.
That's all I can think of. Stan Darsh.
Yep.
But yeah, man, just to kind of, put a bow on everything. Like, I think this is a really fun group that the Avs have here. And I think what Avs fans should be excited about is the fact that, like, there will be tweaks to this roster. This won't be the same roster that we see in April, but the tweaks that you're talking about are, can you get an upgrade on Jack Drury? Can you find one more, piece to add to your back end for a little bit of extra punch? It's not, holy shit, you need a second line center. You need one, maybe two goalies. Let me ask you that really fast. Obviously, the play of the goaltending is way better. You see a huge difference in the confidence of this group, right, in front of them.
Yeah, and then also just the locker room. Like, they're just two very different human beings than the previous guys. And the team loves those guys. So, yeah, I mean, it's easy to play confident when you expect your goalie to make a simple save. Like, and it's harsh, but the first 2 months, the Avs couldn't get a simple save last year, and that's just the reality of it. And you play a little bit more tense when you're just like, oh no, I made the wrong read, we're screwed.
Megan and I talk about it all the time, and coincidentally, it was in the Buffalo game that ended up being, the game that Georgiev got pulled. Scott Wedgwood comes in and everything changes. But Calvin DeHaan, who, I'll let that one go. Calvin DeHaan, there was a play that led to one of the Buffalo goals where exactly what you're saying, you could tell that you could see the thought process in his head of like, I don't want to let this guy shoot, but this guy's backdoor, I need it. And he ended up getting caught kind of in no man's land, not covering anyone, but it was a result of, you could just tell in his body language that the first thing that was going through his head was, I can't let this guy shoot, because if he shoots, it's going to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, like, just that extra layer of thinking and lack of confidence led to a really bad defensive play from him. But if you know what you're looking at, you saw what it was bred from.
I mean, every defenseman and goalies want their defenseman to take away the pass too.
Yeah.
But instinctually, if your goalie can't make a save, it's just human nature for them to be like, oh, I got to do everything. I can't let this happen. So, it's a very big difference this year with Wedgwood, and we haven't even seen him with Blackwood too. Mm-hmm. So, this team is just. I asked Josh, I was like, that was a pretty intense practice. You guys are 11 out of possible 12. He's like, yeah, I think Jared wanted to send a message.
Yeah.
And he didn't say this, but like, don't get too high on your own supply. Like, there's still a lot of work to be done. So
yeah,
they're very serious this year, and we've seen it already.
They've got a, I think if, according to them, or hope, they're probably hoping, you got a long ways to go.
This is the ultimate season where it's like, can we really just fast forward to April?
Oh my gosh, dude, I know. And I hate to, because this felt like a long summer. Like, it felt like they got, and maybe it was because I was kind of mentally prepared for them to go on a run, and then for it to just come to this abrupt end. Like, it felt like a long summer. So I hate to wish a hockey season away, but I'm totally with you, where it's like, let's just jump to the Olympics, and then I'll watch the Olympics and then hit that post-Olympic sprint and go from there.
Because you know how it is, like every December, like when the Avs are good, it's like, and this is just the reality, like I can see it in the readership that people kind of check out for a little bit, because it's like, okay, well, we'll come back when it's close to the deadline and things are winding down. Like last year, we didn't get that because they made 18 trades in the season.
Yeah.
December, I think they made 3 alone, and then in January they trade a franchise. People don't want to say, but he is a franchise legend.
Yeah.
And
here longer than Peter Forsberg, given that debate.
A lot of people did. A lot of people don't realize that. But it's just like this year they needed this calm, they needed this stability, but also from our end, it's like, all right, well, let's just we're gonna watch a lot of these games where they're steamrolling people, and we're gonna be like, come on, let's get to April.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Not Dallas though. Please don't go to Dallas in the first
round. I mean,
I'm already scouting these wild card teams, hoping if the Avs get the first round, like, where do I want to go?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Anaheim looks pretty good right now.
Bro.
If they go to Anaheim, I'm okay with that.
I am way okay with that. We'll have another dinner outing at downtown Disney, you and me.
Under 18 heaters.
All right, this will be the last thing, and then we're gonna get out of here for the day. Evan, what's going on with these jerseys? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't care. I don't care. And I don't care about jerseys.
I know you don't. but they've as much as, because I think a lot of the media contingency, I'm a big gear guy. I don't just post Scott Wedgwood's new pads because I like taking pictures of them. I'm really interested in gear. I like talking with him about it. He was, giving me a whole breakdown on how like he has some custom color blocking on that stuff, but for the most part, like they just have to use the same, prints and all that stuff. So I really like talking about this stuff, but we don't have a lot of Jersey people on the beat. Yet somehow it has gotten to the point where this is even a topic of conversation that we are talking about a lot in the media room. It's just been really weird.
Well, I got trolled which was ridiculous because they posted new look for practice today and then they don't wear it. And then they make fun of me. I'm like, what? I didn't do anything. You guys said it. And then they keep like slow teasing it. Like, oh, Wedgie's wearing these pads. Why would he be wearing them?
Yeah.
And it's just like, we know what it is. Everyone knows what it is. Just show it. And like, it doesn't, like, people are annoyed right now, but they know that it's going to sell out. Like, it just doesn't matter. I personally, like, it just sounds like it's just a full Nordiques setup, like replica, nothing different.
Yeah.
I think that's a little boring personally. Like, it's going to look great, but it's also like, you should have changed it up a little bit personally, but
I would have liked to see a burgundy version of the reverse retros they did. The Nordiques ones, like just literally inverse that. Burgundy with white trim instead of white with burgundy trim.
Those ones look good. Yeah.
So here's the weirdest thing that I find about the jersey release is they've done it backwards, where usually they'll release the jersey like on a model or something like that, and then it'll be a week or two later you'll see the full kit. We all know what the full kit looks like now, except for the jersey. And hey, what do I know? I just work here.
It's just the teases. I think people are like, stop. We know. Just put it out.
We're teased. We're teased enough.
Yeah.
Evan, really appreciate you coming by, man. Thanks for coming.
Well, I'm joining the Broncos beat after yet. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh God, yeah.
I felt so bad. Because we were talking about before, but Ross Colton is a Giants fan. He was there yesterday, and I went up to the locker room. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't think either of those. Like, I don't think the Broncos look good, but I just feel bad for you. And he's like, he went off again, and then one of the equipment managers was like, "Are we doing this again, Ross?" And he's like, "I couldn't sleep last night. I'm sorry." And I was like, "I feel bad now." But, I mean, like, I had to talk to him about it.
Yeah. This isn't a football pod, and I'm not a football guy, but I'm watching the end of that. I'm watching that whole game, just like what am I watching? And then, I saw just a bunch of people tweeting, the national accounts, national beat writers, let alone local, fans, media. Like, oh my gosh, crazy game. One of the, game of the year, blah, blah, blah. I was like, that game was terrible. That was just, who made the least amount of mistakes in the last 3 lead changes in the last 2 minutes? That's insane.
It's just bad. I will not be switching to the NFL beat anytime soon, unless I'm forced onto it. I guess I don't know. I can't say that offhand, but I like covering the NHL, especially it really, like I did tweet it, like it does make you appreciate watching Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar every single night when you're sitting there watching, batted ball after batted ball, and you're like, oh, this is not entertaining at all.
And then Sean Payton makes you appreciate Jared Bednar.
Oh, does he? Jared can get spicy a little bit, but not like talk down to you,
right?
Like, where this guy, like, yeah.
Well, and like, can we also just get poor Sean Payton some Carmex or something? Just in between every answer, it's like, God damn.
He's closing out with some ASMR.
Yeah, get this guy a moist towel or something for his face. All right, that's gonna do it. Avs are in Utah tomorrow, and then
I told Corey to bring back some swig.
Yeah. Hey, that we were all saying that would be I would be all right with that as a
Utah's
first round matchup.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, just
short travel
and be just buzzing off of swig all week.
I'd go to that sandwich place. Did you go to I don't
know. I don't think I did.
There's a sandwich place within 3 blocks of the rink. Corey and I went there twice last year, and I remember the first time we both walked back to our hotel room, and I got a text from him saying this. I was eating it like, oh my God, he goes, this is a professional sandwich, and I was like, I was thinking the same thing. So I'm fine with Utah.
That was just such a weird experience last year because I think it was you and me had we all like gone to dinner or something, and we were walking back, and the Jazz
Thai
game was
place.
going on. Yeah, that was right. Yeah, we went to the
It was opening night.
opening night for the Utah Jazz, and there was like not a soul out in downtown. Like the bars were all empty. We walked by the Delta Center, and it was just like all quiet outside, and I was like, this is really
It's
weird.
a strange city. I have no issues with it though. I'm fine going there.
Yeah, no, it was great to get around. Yeah, Evan, thanks for coming by. Avs are gone tomorrow. Back at home against Carolina Thursday. We'll be bringing you guys all kinds of great content, and then we will have the official Colorado Eagles podcast dropping a new episode tomorrow. That'll be with Megan Angley. She got a bunch of great interviews for you guys. Evan Rawal, the Denver Gazette. Make sure you are reading all of his stuff. Check out Evan does outstanding work. Give him a follow. Read all of his work. Really appreciate him stopping by. He's Evan. I'm Jesse. We got Dan back there behind the glass today. Thanks so much for hanging out, guys. We'll talk to you later. See you.